Greetings, all you intuitive empathic souls out there, and welcome to your weekly intuitive oracle reading. I just mean these to be general readings for your inspiration. Perhaps you will hear a message that is particularly important to you today. My name is Bevan Neiman Cortez, and just a note that some of the channels that I post these readings on do require, if there's anything on the cards, to be covered, any kind of nudity, anything of that nature. I think the human body is beautiful. I don't think there's anything shameful, but here's the world we live in, and I would rather that I'm able to get this message out to you. So this card that wanted to come forward this week is in the world, but not of the world. And maybe you've heard this particular statement, right? Be in the world, meaning we're souls. We came here in human bodies. We're having a very visceral, physical experience, sometimes really dense experiences. But how is it that we can be in the world, but not of the world? And let's talk for a minute about what that means. So when we're saying we're of the world, or if you think about the word worldly, it's a person who has lost their innocence, perhaps, is no longer naive. Maybe they're a little jaded or cynical. Maybe they think there's no hope for humanity. And of course, there's many discussions online about where we're going, what timelines are available to us, and what choices that we plan to make as a species, and particularly our leaders. So, being worldly is something that happens to you regardless of whether you wanted to or not, because you will intersect with experiences throughout your life, starting in childhood, into young adulthood, and on and on. And the older you get, probably the more that you will have seen of the world, of the great things about the world and of the really horrific things about the world. And if you're also an empath, meaning that you can sense shifts in other people's energies, but most importantly, and what's most often discussed with empaths, is how we can feel other people's feelings, feel other people's physical pain as if it's our own. We can sense and feel collective energy. So you may get up one day and you didn't have any occurrence in your personal life to have you feeling drained or depleted or angry or anything of that nature. And then you get online, you get on social media, or you look at the news. We don't very often look at the news, but if you do, you'll discover that something happened. Or you might be very astrologically sensitive, when there's a certain moon cycle or certain conjunctions or oppositions are happening in the sky, you might feel that very intensely in your emotional center, in your body, in your mind. You might have strange thoughts that you're like, that's not how I think. And all of these are experiences that empathic people can have. So when you ask us to be in the world, but not of it, we're like, how do we do that? How do we keep from feeling all of these things? How do we keep from sensing and perceiving all this stuff that's underneath? And what do you do when you're a tender-hearted soul, when you care deeply about humans, our planet, animals, various causes, alleviating poverty, having peace on earth, when you care so much about these kinds of things? Right? How do you keep yourself from feeling defeated, disappointed, even horrified? I found myself there many, many times. I'm scrolling on YouTube or something like that, and then all of a sudden I just see this horrific article, this horrific video, and I'm just like, what is wrong with humankind? Like, why can't we get it right? Why can't we be loving and kind to each other? So, if we go back to this card, you can see that she's standing in the middle of a stream. And if you've ever done that, and I grew up in the country, so I've done that many times, and the current is pretty fast, it's very hard to keep your balance, right? You're trying to get your feet down on the bottom of the river. You're trying to hold on. You're trying to make sure that, you don't fall over. Maybe your head falls in the water. It doesn't take a lot to get into trouble. And she's holding on with all of her might, right? She's holding on with all of her might. And then you see something that I experienced as a child in the northwest part of the United States, which is the salmon spawning. Okay, so the reason there's a mechanism inside some fish, some other kinds of migratory animals, where when it's time to mate, when it's time to procreate, they will actually go back to the place of their birth. So wherever they were a little tiny fish egg, they will somehow know how to swim back. And of course, they're swimming upstream, generally speaking, right? Because when you become a young fish, you're floating downstream, floating farther away from your home. And then you come back, and it's a struggle. And anytime we've ever been in a part of our lives where we're swimming upstream, where we're trying to like paddle as hard as we can, and we're not getting anywhere, or we're just trying to hold our ground without getting pushed over. This is what it can feel like with popular culture, with the news and the events of the world, of some of the horrific things that happen. It feels like it's all coming, and you're just going to get bowled over emotionally, energetically, and maybe mentally as well. You're going to get depressed. You're going to feel like it's hopeless. It's hopeless. But I actually interpret her body shape in a different way. Okay, so I interpret that she's opening her heart. So this may seem, for a sensitive person, sort of like opposite logic, right? When everything is so hard, when I can feel everything so much, why would I open my heart to more? Well, when we open our heart space versus contracting, right? So many sensitive people, including myself sometimes, and in a lot in the past, tended to contract ourselves. Everything's dangerous. I'm going to sit over here. I'm going to be in the corner. Don't pay attention to me. I'm just going to try to hermit myself. And I would still love to be a hermit. It's just a lot of fun. But opening your heart means you're also opening your energy field, which means you are not just impacted by the world around you. You are influencing it. You are extending your energy out. And I use this metaphor that if you hook a water hose up to the faucet and you turn on the water, it only goes in one direction. It never backflows into the faucet. Or maybe I don't even know if that's physically possible. Ask a plumber. But in any case, this is the same thing. So if you are an empath, instead of sponging, instead of contracting, instead of drawing all of that denseness, all of that really difficult emotional and cultural and societal angst into your body, into your mind, into your heart, you open yourself. Okay, you open yourself. And this creates a different flow of energy. And now you are in the world, but not of it. You say, I do not receive this. Yes, it bothers me. Yes, it devastates me. Yes, it makes me wish for those times when I was innocent. Absolutely. But when you do this, what happens is what you see here, is that you then also begin to open yourself, open that third eye, open that crown chakra to receive intuitive downloads that are uniquely meant for you, where you're going to get an inkling of what small thing, and I just want to emphasize that, what small thing, that's really probably not a small thing at all, but what small thing can you do to make a difference in on this planet? You don't have to do it all, and you're not responsible to save it. Okay, there's 8 billion humans here, 8 billion souls in a dense body, all trying to figure this out all at one time. And everybody has their role to play. And your role does not encompass the entire planet. Okay, there are humans who are influential and well known to the point where they can influence a great amount of people or politics or whatever it may be on the planet. If that is your path, more power to you. You go. And as an empath, if you're going into leadership like that, I have your back. However, most of us are doing small things in small communities in our local area, with our family system, with our friend group, with a small number of clients, at work, volunteering for causes. And that's enough. That's enough because you still get to play. You still get to be naked with life. You still get to be vulnerable. You still get to enjoy and splash around in the proverbial river. You still get to lift your feet up and float if that's what you want to do. You are not responsible for all of this. And all of this could be culture, it could be media, it could be propaganda, it could be dense energies, it could be all kinds of things. It could be situations, in the case of lifestyle design, situations that are not working for you. They're working against you, they're trying to knock you down. Whether that's the home environment you live in, the partnerships that you have in your life, the friendships you have, where you're working, what kind of work you're doing. All of these kinds of things can either uplift us, help us be more open, more energetic, more vital, or they'll knock us down. And we have a pretty big say in whether we want to get knocked around by life. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't people in our world that are victims. It doesn't mean to minimize any kind of bad behavior, but to the extent that it's possible, you have a huge impact on the quality of your life as a sensitive being, on your ability to open your heart, open your mind, open up your chakra system, receive those divine downloads, know what is your specific part to do and what is not. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you continuing to watch and enjoy, and please comment. I'd love to hear what part of this is resonating for you right now. How is this tying into your current story as you are the main character of your life?